but sometimes people call me Jenny Rudler, so that's okay. So how are you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Awesome. So I see some kind of newer faces to me. So you guys are with Capital Partners?
I am.
That's
Am.
awesome.
I'm with Excel.
Okay, great. Awesome. I'm so thankful that we're doing training together and tech together. Rachel is just awesome. I feel very fortunate to have her. So
Yeah, she is.
awesome. I think a couple other people are joining, and my name is Jenny Scobie, and I'm going to be leading this Ignite database training and try to help you learn what I've learned and maybe learn from you too, because the reality is everything in life right now is about a database, actually. So we're going to kind of talk about, I'm going to use some of the information they've shared. I love Keller Williams and everything they do, but we're going to go a little off too and share with you my experience with database. So
What office are you in?
I'm in Keller Williams Excel, and
Okay.
I'm partnered with Jill Rudler in that office.
Okay.
So. And we'll wait here. I know Jill's going to be on here for a minute, so I don't see her yet. So I'll wait until I sent her the link. For some reason, I don't know why. Call me blonde. I didn't have the link. I was like, guys, I'm supposed to be doing this thing and I don't have the link. I'm like, this is not good. Not a good way to start my Monday morning. I don't have the link.
That's me every week.
Well, why don't we introduce ourselves a little bit and kind of talk about what our background is? Maybe, if we're new as an agent, where do we come from? If we've been an agent for a while, share a little bit about who you are, because I really would like us to have some open discussion. They've put together a PowerPoint, and I am going to confess that I am going to read some of it because it has really good content on it. But I would rather have us all talk about where we are at with our database and what our mindset around database is, and then just help each other grow personally in our businesses so we can utilize our database to the best of our ability. And realize one thing I want to really tell you guys, and I've learned this the hard way, I'll tell you my story, is that database management is progress, not perfection. One thing that I've really learned coming into Keller Williams, and even before I did Keller Williams, I was in the real estate industry in the mortgage area. And I always, for 25 years, was going to set up my database. Oh my gosh, I was going to set up my database. And at different times, I hired an assistant and I had a partial database set up. But I walked around with a lot of guilt because I'd been in the industry for a really super long time and I knew all these people, and why didn't I put together my database?
Yeah.
I
just want to listen. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, put yourself on mute. That's cool if you're going to talk. But so I really had a lot of, I knew how important a database was, and I knew that it was important for me to use it. But day-to-day business, the story I was telling myself every day kept keeping me from really starting my database. I kept almost putting it like a diet. I said, oh, I'm going to start it tomorrow, that kind of thing. So I'm going to share with you a little bit. I'm not perfect on our database. I am still progressing though. I'm much further along today. And I get excited. I'm going to share some stories with you about growing our database and what we're learning. And then I'd love to hear some stories about your database. So why don't we go around the room? I don't know. We'll start at the top left with maybe Lisa, if you feel comfortable, just introducing yourself, sharing a little bit about you as a real estate agent, and then what your goals are with your database.
Okay. My background is in the mortgage industry as well. I did originated, processed, closed mortgages for 10 years. And then my husband was in the Army. I think everybody here probably knows my story, but a couple. My husband was in the Army, so that was I always wanted to get into real estate, and that was kind of my way of at least being in the industry. Sales was always the end goal, but since we moved around so much, that just wasn't feasible. So I did that for 10 years. And then I also worked for a closing attorney. So I have 3 years experience on the closing side, doing title work and all of that happy kind of stuff. And right now my database probably, it just stems from my sphere, because I did, those people I knew from that industry are all over the United States. So most of what I have is in my sphere. And some of those people from across the US, are in there as well. And I'm trying to reach out to them to at least get referrals, or to be able to at least refer them to agents and, work in some income that way as well.
Awesome. And so your goals, what are your goals today, or what's a takeaway you're hoping to get?
Maybe just some thinking out of the box about different ways to build that. People that I hadn't thought about, that I can, utilize that information.
Whoops, I think you're on mute.
Melody, do you mind going next?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I really have a real estate background, but a little bit different. So I've been licensed in 3 different states, and I was a listing in selling agent for several years. And then I had an opportunity to move to Princeton, New Jersey, and be a partner in a real estate firm, which I did. And I did that for about 3 years. And then I went to the corporate headquarters in New Jersey, and I held a variety of leadership positions there for about 16 years. So I had a chance to come back to Columbus, or I guess to come to Columbus for the first time. I've sort of lived all over, and I have family here. So I came back here, and I've been doing some consulting, but I decided to go back into real estate again, and I'm loving it. And my daughter is at KW Capital Partners as well, which is really phenomenal, because when she was little and, riding around in the car with me, putting up signs and, stuffing envelopes, she said she would never be in real estate. So it's been awesome to have her. She's on a team, I'm on my own, but it's awesome to have her in the same company. I have downloaded, I had about 1,300 contacts like in my phone that I was able to use an app to download and do an Excel sheet, but I'm having to do a lot of cleaning on that, which I'm still doing. But I would really just like to learn more. My database, I've been good about when I get referrals from my coach, getting them into the database, getting them on a smart plan, but I have a whole lot more I need to do. And so I think just whatever thoughts that you have on, how you've built your database and how you use it to drive business would be great.
Okay, great. Is it Janae? Okay, great.
So my background is in nonprofit work. I probably did that for at least 11 or 12 years. We had everything there, far as homebuyer education classes. We were OFA driven, and let me see what else. I just did a lot of stuff in the community. And what I found was there was a lot of people who were misdirected and just thought, hey, I work forever, but I can't afford to buy a house. And that's my niche, is to find those people that don't ever think they can buy a house and they can afford a house and get approved just like anybody else. So majority of my customers have been, or clients have been, people who was like, oh, I can't buy. And I'm like, let me just get you in front of a lender, and they get approved. My last one, she got approved for $260. And she called me for 4 days asking me, was she being pranked? And I'm like, no. So she's actually buying a new build, and she's ecstatic. I'm ecstatic for her. I mean, I had to leave her at my last broker, but regardless, I could have pushed the house on her, but I really wanted her to get the house that she wanted. So, what's for me will be for me. So she got the new build and we moved on. So, and I've only been licensed since 2019 of October. And what I plan on getting out of the database is I want to use Command at its fullest use. I don't like paperwork, but that is my goal, is to make sure that I actually do the steps to make sure that I'm successful this year. That's all.
Great, thank you so much. I will talk to you about that. I was a lender for 25 years. I used to partner with Homeport and a lot of the nonprofits, and there is nothing more rewarding than, it's a game changer for a family, and it's actually in a legacy type of thing. They've done statistics. Home ownership in a family is a game changer, and it really is important that we help people. At the same time, there are some folks that are struggling, and their goal may be just cleaning up their credit for a while and understanding how they really spend their money. But I really love your niche. That's what you're really doing. You've created a niche, and it's something you're really passionate about. So I know you're going to be rocking it. I can't wait to see what you do. So that's awesome. Courtney?
For the last 12 years, I've been in the restaurant industry. Started serving, then into management, and then I was working for a wine importer and distributor before COVID. Got laid off with COVID and decided it was time for something different. Found real estate, and I'm really enjoying it so far. As far as my database goes, I have made the wild mistake throughout my career in the service industry is saving everyone's last name as where I met them. So I have so many contacts that I'm going through now, and I'm almost finished with it finally, but changing all of their last names to their appropriate names, still keeping notes of how I know them on there. But if you have some recommendations on how to, a specific app to import things from my phone to commands, that would be really helpful. A good step for me for now.
Awesome. And Erica?
So I'm Erica, and I was licensed in 2020 in June. I came from a new home construction builder background with Schumacher Homes before getting my license. So my background, my niche is definitely new home construction, on your lot building. And a lot of my database has been, my sphere. The 12 transactions that I closed in my 6 months were mainly from either leads from Schumacher or my sphere. So growing beyond my sphere and growing my database is really what I need to focus on in 2021.
Awesome. Well, I have to say that all of you guys starting out, starting your database and just starting from wherever you are and keep building. We're going to talk about some creative ways that you could do that, but you're really in the right place at the right time. I do have a quick question. When you do, I used to do a lot of new build financing for lots and custom builds. If you bring them, so you get paid on the land and the cost of the house, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. That's a great niche. That's a fun niche.
It is.
Very fun niche. Okay. Jill, do you want to introduce yourself? Jill and I are cohorts in crime here, but she put me in charge of our database, so that's why I'm teaching it. But Jill's been in the industry for a really long time. She's really a legend, even though she won't admit that. And so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Jill Rudler, and I guess, I listened to you all, and I think I remember being there. I remember being brand new in Columbus in 1987, and when I came, I brought a computer, and in 87, the only person, I was at HER at the time, the only person that had a computer was our corporate lawyer, Schneider, and Carl Schneider. And everyone looked at me like I was crazy, like, what are you going to do with a computer? You don't even have clients. And what I did is I started collecting a database of people that I met. And I started by doing open houses. And then I transferred over that into farming areas. And so, you can take an area and start farming and use that as your database when you don't have a good database. And it could be your neighborhood that you live in. That's a good place to start because people do know you. And it's important that you go out and tell people about, you know, what you do now. So you know, it just starts one person at a time. And I had very solid structured communication with my database. By a lot of it was mail at that time, because I still cannot pick up the phone and call people. You know, people say you got to door knock, you got to call people. I have never been able to do that because it's not my personality. And I mean, if any of you know me, you know that, like, if I get up in front of a big group of people, I'm so tongue-tied. But you put me in front of a couple and I can do fine. So you just have to find what works for you. And you know, I'm just happy to still be here and to have someone like Jenny taking over my business so that I have consistency for the next 30 years here in Columbus. So if you have questions about databases, Jenny can be more specific on command, and I can just tell you general things that overall, you know, big picture things that can help.
Great, Jill. Thank you. And Nicole?
Good morning. My name is Nicole Heiserman, and I recently was licensed in December. I taught middle school English for 12 years. I've kind of lived for the last 6 years in Houston and Nashville for my husband's career, and we are back in Columbus, where we belong. This is home, and our family is here. I guess I would like to hear your thoughts and everybody else's thoughts on quality versus quantity in the database, and how you handle that, and how do you pick and choose who goes in and who does not.
Awesome. We will talk about that specifically. So that's great, Nicole. And glad to have you be back in the Buckeye State. My brother lives in Houston. I've never been into Nashville. I mean, I've never lived in Nashville, but we just helped some clients relocate down there. So glad to have you back. Go Bucks tonight. I hope
yes,
to win.
Go Bucks. Big night for sure.
Okay. And then Ron.
Hello. Let's see. My background, I worked for 34 years in one of the larger financial institutions around Columbus, and I retired from there in 2019. And it was a good time to just kind of do something different. I always thought of myself as a motivational speaker versus a salesperson, and I have a vast background in project management. So I wanted to figure out what the next phase of my life was. So it's like, how do you talk to people, you know, help keep them motivated? Because as we all know, looking for houses isn't necessarily easy. You know, how to keep them motivated? How do you work with your team members? And then how do I use my project management background? And I'd worked with a couple of realtors in my personal life that really touched me. They helped me through selling a house. You're not always doing it because you want to. My husband had passed away, and I found myself in a position where I needed to sell, and the realtor from Keller Williams that I worked with really, really touched me. So I thought that this was my chance to pay it forward. Maybe I could help. If I could just help one person in the way that she helped me, you know, then maybe I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. So I've been in real estate since late 2019 with COVID and taking care of my mama. I'm really, really just getting my business started. So that's what I want to do and learn from this database training, Jenny. I don't know what I don't know, so I want to know what I don't know. So.
Okay, thanks. Josh, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and database and all that stuff?
Hi. Database is important. Your business is in your database, right? So hi guys. I know a lot of you. I'm the productivity coach for KW Excel and for CAP Partners. And I live and die by my database. And so I tell everyone that real estate is who you know. So go know more people. So be included in groups and stuff. I'm excited to hear what Jenny's gonna present.
Great, thank you. And Christopher, are you, you don't have your video on, which is fine. Oh, cool. Hey, Chris, how are you?
You doing? Good. In October, I left the Department of Corrections where I was a lieutenant for about 20 years and got into the real estate game. Very happy. Got my license in November. It's going well. And I'm just hoping, I just wanted to maximize how I use the database to grow my business.
Great. Well, we're going to go a little deeper into database and what that means. But sometimes the first thing that I've really found out about database management is it's really a mindset. I shared with you a little bit, and this may just be me, but I don't think it is because, when we come to Keller Williams, we learn a lot about what are the tools in our toolbox that we can use to be successful. And one of the reasons why we're all motivated to be successful, I heard it over and over in all your stories, is we really want to help people. And what we want to do is we want to help them, have a good experience with real estate. I was sharing with the team, a real estate purchase is one of the single most important financial investments anybody will ever make. And statistically, they say that people move every 10 years. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have found this, but I'm finding even more and more, I'm helping people move into a new build, and that's what they really wanted. And then after they get there, they look around and it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And that can happen into a normal type of situation home as well. And so folks, there are some folks that will move in less than every 10 years. So we're really just adding a service. When we think about our database, big picture, before I go deep down into it, and what I learned in Bold, which is a class that I really suggest you guys all sign up for, and Josh can share more of that with you, is that we're just having relationships with people we know that are going to buy and sell real estate. Whether we talk to them or not and put them in their database, they're going to go through life and they're going to buy and sell real estate. And you have to ask yourself a question. Do you want to be an expert in their life that can help them navigate those waters? Are you willing to train yourself? Are you willing to read books? Are you willing to get on calls like this and just have a relationship with folks and share with them information? One attitude I've always had, and Jill kind of talked a little bit about what she did. My attitude was I always told myself they can work with me, they can work with somebody else, or maybe they're not going to do anything at all. So whenever I sat down with somebody, I kind of came from that viewpoint that if they mention that they have another agent that they're good friends with, I'm like, great. Well, would you like a second opinion with me? Or with some people that are really afraid in point blank to do anything, I would really look at the fact that they don't have to do anything at all. And that's fine as well. So we're really starting out from that perspective and going in to do our database. So now I'm going to see how good I am. I'm going to share my screen. I do know how to share my screen, but I have like 3 different things going on here. So let me share my desktop, share that. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here. And I need to go to the top of this. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit. Can everybody see my screen and see Ignite Skills to Spark a Great Career? Give me the thumbs up. Okay, shaking heads. Okay, cool. So here we're going to, let me do something here real quick. I got everybody in the middle of my screen. Just a second. Okay, I guess I'm not going to do that. Anyway, what successful agents do every day. So this Ignite, I believe, is last week. Some of you may have been on the classes. This is targeted towards, agents as we start out. It's a Keller Williams driven training. And so we're talking about what successful agents do every day. Every day we do things to grow our business and we do things to run our business. And today we're going to focus on lead generation for buyers and sellers. And we're going to do that by talking in more detail about our database. So the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about is we're going to identify what a database is. We kind of already talked about that. A database is we're collecting information. We talked about, we have a database on our phone right now, and we all laughed about, you're going to laugh about how you said you named your people based on what restaurant you were working at the time. I don't even want to show you all the different ways that I name people, because, you know, sometimes when you meet somebody, you want to get their contact information, or you just resonate with somebody, you bond with somebody in a social setting, and you'd really like to stay in touch. And so it's funny, you know, things that you'll write in your contact in order to get their information. But here, for these purposes, we're going to talk about that a database is a well-intended goal to produce leads. And we are creating a powerful database that by doing that, we're going to schedule time to work within that database, or to educate that database, or to add value to that database. And in turn, it's a way that we can flow leads that turn into business. When I looked at this page, and something that I've loved about what I've learned in Keller Williams is that there's lots of agents out there that are working in, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, working in today, and they're not looking to the future. They're just kind of grinding through transactions. They used to do the same thing in mortgage industry. I used to do about 100 to 120 transactions on my own a year. And a lot of people would grind through, they just went to the next deal and the next deal and the next deal. And so what happens is you kind of have to reinvent the wheel every single month. But the whole idea of this database is for us to create a database with people's information and nurture or manage the relationship and actually stay in touch, so that we can produce, you know, a flow of business that allows us to live the life we want in real estate. This is going to go a little bit more in detail about what a database is. So we're going to talk about the purpose, which we kind of already said, you know, the purpose of the database. What's the value of my database? What other industries use databases? And we're going to talk a little bit about prospecting and marketing through our database. What's the difference? How do we do that? And then what makes targeted marketing effective in our database? So I don't know what really, so I can't see all your faces. This is one thing. If, you know, I love I love that I've learned how to do Zoom calls, but I can't really see all your faces. Let me do something really quick. Maybe I can do it a different way. But anyway, I just don't want to be here preaching at you. So if anybody wants to chime in, just unmute yourself, but I will have times where we'll bring it back up and we'll talk, okay? They talk about the 3 levels of a millionaire database. So if you're new to Keller Williams, Gary Keller's first book he wrote was The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, MREA. And this is kind of what we talk about in the millionaire database of, there's 3 different parts or 3 different levels of our database. And the first level is just the basics. You know, we want to get their name, their contact information. We want to know a little bit more about them, past business or past contact record. We might do it that way. And then also get permission to communicate with them. And the second level is, as I said, obtaining permission, but also collecting some personal information about them. We're going to talk a little bit about how we manage our database. And one of those things we can do is we're going to touch them so many times a year. But we really want them to be authentic touches. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in this day of telemarketing and, you know, you go online and you show some interest in something, and then all of a sudden you get bombarded with phone calls. We have to really look at how do we want to touch people? And what Jill also said about looking at yourself, like, what are you willing to do? And it's a fine line, because some of these things, maybe we're not willing to do, but in order to be a successful real estate agent, we need to learn how to make it familiar instead of unfamiliar. We need to make it be familiar. And so we do need to look at what would we be able to do. So for example, one of the touches could be social media. You can do social media through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever you really like, whatever you use. But the bottom line is, if you're not on social media right now and that's just not like your thing, then you probably wouldn't use that as an insight. But we can collect personal information about people, and we can get insights and preferences so that when we're calling them, we have something relevant that's of service to them. And then another way to make the database effective is to segment or group folks, so that helps us if we can look at past clients, or we can look at how we met people or how we received the lead. For example, in our database, when we get a lead on a particular listing, in the description, we will put the address of the listing so that we know that house was attractive to the client, and we kind of have a gauge, because really with inventory going into contracts so quickly, the bottom line is lots of folks are out there that want a house like that. And so how can we help them find a house like that in another neighborhood or right around the corner? That helps us by segmenting them or identifying them. And then purposeful and consistent communication. We're going to talk a little bit about the touches, and that's what I really said. We want our touches to be purposeful. We need them to be consistent. And the funny thing I'll tell you is I have not been able to always be consistent, but even when I haven't been consistent, I still found a lot of success. And I do want to tell you one story about that so that it will be relatable to you. So at different times, we will get together and make cold calls together. So a lot of times we recommend that you might get a buddy that you'll be accountable with. And maybe you'll do cold calls, or you'll tell each other, today I'm going to call 5 of my sphere. And then we're going to report back to each other about what we talked about. And later on in this, we're going to talk a little bit about scripts. But I was doing a class with Bold where I was just calling people to let them know that I was a real estate agent. And I was just checking in with them to say hi. And so I was fostering a young man who had a girlfriend, and his mother and I had just met that week. And she had told me that she was living in an apartment. She just sold her home and she was living in an apartment. She kind of mentioned that she at one point would want to buy a home again. And with my mortgage background and things of that nature, I thought that I could call her and just check in to see, hey, you mentioned this, and where are you in that process? So we ended up having what Bold calls a forward conversation, and I'll go in more detail about that, where you call somebody up and you just talk about their family, their occupation, their recreation, or I forget what the D is, but we'll go back into it. But I was just having an authentic conversation with her, and we talked a little bit about it. And at the time she said that, she had been in a car accident and her credit had really been severely impacted, and she didn't really think she was going to be buying right away. And did I know anything about renting and things of that nature? So I had gotten her some additional information, and I maybe talked to her once or twice since then. But last week, out of the blue, she called me because her daughter just got married and she's relocating to Tennessee. And between the mortgage and the real estate, she thought maybe I could help her daughter. So, just from one call, and I didn't even do that good of a job of following up with her. But just from that one call, I made an impression, because I made a call and I called her with right here, purposeful communication. It stuck in her mind so that when she needed that, she thought of me. So could you imagine if I was just a little bit more consistent with people? Just apply that to you. If we just start today and tomorrow we could start over again, if we're just a little bit more consistent, what we could create. And then the next is automating it. Customizing communication and building different reasons. They call them triggers. We'll talk about database triggers. And then right now I'm going to talk about triggers to you, but it's kind of like we're going to talk surface database. And then as you grow more into the database, it'll become more relevant. Right now, does anybody have any questions or any input or anything any ahas with that, or anything they've learned? Because I know, Melody, you just said that you pulled thanks for asking that question. You pulled all your contacts off of your phone onto an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can put that into a CSV file that has the right fields or similar fields and upload it into Command. So you've already been maybe looking at this type of thing. You got the basic information, and now you're trying to convert it into a customer response, CRM. So does anybody have any feedback or input so far? Okay, no problem.
I just had one comment.
Sure.
To be honest, I hadn't really I should be thinking in this way. That's why I'm taking the classes. It's sort of that, those levels, 1, 2, 3 levels, right? I was only thinking of communicating in one way to a database or to segments in my database. So this is really helpful to look at how that grows over time, or depending on how close you might be to the person or what their needs are. So it's very helpful for me to think about it being 3 different types of communication.
Yeah, I think it becomes a little less daunting, that it's maybe like one step at a time, one thing at a time. Okay, let me go back to my play. Okay, so now we're going to say why use a database. So I talked a little bit about this, why use a database. One thing that I learned in my career so far is that a lot of times you'll get into a position where you'll get a couple deals and you'll be working really hard on those every day, and you get into that trap working into today's business. And what the database does is it helps you stay focused on the future, because by having these consistent touches and contacts and feeding the database as you're meeting people during your transactions, as you're meeting people just living life regularly, and saying, okay, these people are people that I want to touch in a way that they know that I want to be their real estate person. Like, people have a mortgage person, people have a banker, people have a financial planner, people have their auto guy, they take their car breaks down, people have a doctor, a dentist, I can go on and on. What we want to be is the professional that handles the real estate. So to avoid that trap of just being stuck, as soon as I close this deal, then when's next month's deal going to come from? This helps us. And then also it shows here that we get a predictable return on our investment. So we're going to talk a little about ROI, which means how do we invest in our database, and which ends up being, our database ends up being a big part of our marketing plan. So if we look at our business plan of what we're going to do, our number one marketing piece and prospecting piece should be centered around our database. So we talked about today's business and tomorrow's business, and without a database, we're stuck with only building from today's business. Now, Keller Williams wanted to show us an example of what the value of a database is. So they're saying, why use a database? This picture illustrates the number of people that are in our market, let's say. So our market has these many individuals, and of these individuals, 65 of them are motivated, that want to own a home. That's how many want to own a home. So right away, of the 100, there's like 35 of them that aren't even somebody that would be interested in working with us, because they're not interested in being a homeowner. There's lots of different reasons. Then of the 65, actually 58 of them are off the market. And they're probably off the market, you can guess, for lots of different reasons. They already own a home, or maybe they're in between homes. Like my friend that was in a car accident, she's rebuilding her credit. So we end up only having 7 people that are actually in our market. So that means all of us are agents. This is who's in our local market. You can grow this out exponentially for the Central Ohio market or whatever pocket you're in, right? And so the 7, that means we're all fighting over these 7. What the database lets us do is we get to expand, we get to talk to people that know people that are thinking of buying in the next 3 to 6 months to a year. And we can start adding value for them over a period of time. So we have more people that we can work with than just those 7. Then we're really filling up, kind of like if we looked at it, kind of like an opportunity to have different levels of people that are in different places of their home buying journey. And we're not just stuck nurturing or working with just those 7. We get to expand to other folks. They talk about the return on investment. And that's what one of the things I love about Keller Williams is even if you look at Command and you look at our app and you look at the investment Gary Keller has made in us, we are on the cutting edge of having artificial intelligence with our app. We are so far ahead of other folks. We're like Google, no one's going to catch up with us. Nobody can catch up with us now as we're gathering data and putting it into our app. And we're going to be able to add real value to people. And so when we look at our return on investment, there's lots of agents that spend a lot of money on realtor.com and Zillow.com leads. And, I don't even know the numbers on those, but I don't know if we receive on our listings, we do receive realtor. If anybody wants information on our listing, the lead does go directly to us. We have that exclusive ability to do that. And realtor.com leads are actually pretty good, but sometimes people put information in there and they're just, they're already working with an agent or they don't respond because, think about it. When you put anything in the internet right now and people respond to you, it shows up on your phone, it shows up or whatever, you just feel inundated and people aren't always responsive. So the good news is our team and your team will too, or you will as a single agent, learn how to have a good conversation where you disarm people and they actually do want to have a conversation with you. But the return on investment, number one, it's very affordable because it's not as expensive as realtor.com. And these leads are going to be warm leads. They're going to be people that know you. They're going to be, all of you talked about other businesses that you were like the best of the best. That's another thing I love about KW. You guys were all the best of the best in what else you were doing. And you decided that, and I was the same way. I loved mortgage, but I always really wanted to be a real estate agent. But I had so much success in mortgages that I thought, should I really switch? Should I really do something different? But I think that success is what propels you to be able to have the confidence to go step out, whether it's, the restaurant industry. I have 2 daughters that are very successful in the restaurant industry, and this has been extremely hard on them. And I think that's awesome. The hospitality industry, everything you do in that industry fits in perfect to what we need to do. So your return on investment here is very low. And it's also a lot better experience, even if you had the money to spend a bunch of money on realtor.com and Zillow.com, that you don't have to spend it. We're going to talk we talked about this a little bit. It has the lowest lead cost is your own database because Keller Williams is so awesome. They're going to give you all these tools. Command is a CRM that you can use for free. It has the lowest conversion cost because you're going to have ability to touch these clients and use tools within Keller Williams that won't cost you anything. And then also it pays for itself. Anything that there are other ways, like when you do Facebook, Command will allow you to do your own marketing, leveraging the power of Facebook, that you can actually find a customized audience that's your sphere or a customized audience based on demographic and put your listing or your content of value about real estate in front of people at pennies compared to what other agents have to pay. So all these things, low lead cost, low conversion cost, and it actually pays for itself. Those are all true things about why doing database with Keller Williams is good. Does anybody have anything they would like to contribute on any of those ideas or any ahas? Okay, just want to make sure you're talking, you feel engaged, because I know when I do Zoom calls, I don't know about you, but I can get zoomed out. So now we're going to talk a little bit about developing your database. So I think what I'm going to do here, because I'd rather see you guys more and then I can share my screen back and forth, is I'm going to talk about this screen a little bit, and then I'm going to bring you guys all back on and we're going to talk about some ideas But basically here, we're talking about how we would market and prospect in our database. And whenever you talked about being in sales, because that's what we are, if you look at any company you've ever belonged to, you have the marketing where you go out and do print mail, or you do, phone calls, or whatever type of marketing you're going to try to get in front of people. At Keller Williams, we do an open house. When COVID's over, we might do door knocking. We could do geo farming and put out a postcard of just listed or just sold. And so we might do physical marketing. In our database, we say that our marketing is enhanced. We might even send a monthly postcard to our database talking something about real estate that's of value to them. And then there's prospecting. Prospecting is where we go into our database, where we feed it constantly as we meet people in our day-to-day life, or, you're trying to go through your phone and add the people that you know. That's a great place to start. You're going to feed it. And then after you feed it, you're going to segment it into groups. So you have the ability to have conversations with them that are relevant and important. And then we're going to talk about engaging with a touch plan. For years, Keller Williams had a 33 touch plan. We have 12 by 12s, 8 by 8s, 33. You haven't been around here long enough to hear all that stuff. But the reality is none of the numbers really matter. What I talked to you earlier is, who are you? What social media do you use? What is affordable for you? Maybe printing postcards isn't affordable to you, but a handwritten card would be affordable to you. And then tending it over time. So these are really the different segments of what we're going to do. We're going to feed it. We're going to organize it. We're going to engage with it and touch it. And then we're going to tend to it over time. And that's going to create the best results. So right now I am going to stop sharing. One second. And we're going to go back to this so I can see all your faces, which I'm okay if I don't see all your faces, even though I like to see all your faces. Does anybody have anything that they want to share about that? Has anybody started using Command yet? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is they wanted me to do a little bit of tech about Command. I did talk about the fact that Command is a really awesome tool. I want to make you aware that there is a 66-day challenge on YouTube, which is a Command challenge that our team did last year. And it's a fun way for you to, one of the top agents in Keller Williams, he just did this for the fun of it. And I think he's a coach too, and he wanted to make it simple. So he was using Command is a tool that's getting smarter and smarter, as they tell us, because we've started out as an artificial intelligence tool that we're going to all of us are going to keep sharing information. It's just going to keep getting better and better. So we can literally take our database in an Excel spreadsheet like Melody shared, and we put it in a CSV file, and we can actually go into Keller Williams Connect or Keller Williams Command, and there'll be videos in Connect that will tell you how to upload your database. I'll tell you that it really would be very therapeutic to go old school and say, I'm going to put 10 in a week, and I'm going to call those 10 people a week, and then I'm going to put them on a touch system after that. And then the next week I'm going to do 10 more. And then after you develop that habit, you could start, okay, I'm going to put 10 in, and I'm going to put 5 people that came across my path this week. And you could keep growing it to a place but I really think we got to start small. We got to start small, and we got to start with one thing. Right now I'm working with some people on habit stacking, and they always talk about, for example, if we want to work out for the new year, right? Everybody's New Year's resolution is we're going to lose weight. We're going to go to the gym that we paid for, that we never show up, right? So they talk about what your plan is, that you're just going to put your shoes on. Like you don't put the big plan, like I'm going to leave at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be out the door. Like you do habit stacking, where my real goals, I make it really small. And I'm going to just, do that one thing first. So I'm going to share Command with you guys. And let me see. I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to go into Command. So this is my command, and I'm going to try to move this over here. Move this away. Sorry, my remote controls are bugging me. I got to try to move them. Okay. So, oh, it just went away. That's great. Oh, Command's doing something funny. Okay, let's 1 second. It's coming back. So if you see up here, you can, oh, I went to connect. So that is how easy you can go to connect and look for people or look for things. But I'm going to go back to Command. And up here, you can see console.command.kw. And I'm going to just go back one more just to show you what the screen looks like. So you should have, let me see, let me just go back here. Oh, command. .kw.com. It's really slow, so sorry. Went to the wrong place. Okay, just logged me in, darn it. But you should have, when you join with KW, just talk to your productivity coach or whoever in to get your login. But what I wanted to show you how easy it is. So along here, we're at home right now. And that's the home page. And right here is where we would add a contact. So it's really slow. I'm so sorry. So over here, and it's so simple. I don't know if you guys have ever had any data entry in any job you've ever had, but here, these are many different contacts that I've uploaded into here. I have another CRM that we use, but this one, these are my sphere. This particular person, I live in the Glen at Ballantrae, and so I'm focusing on farming them. So these are examples. We talked about tags that you could use. But here, up here, see this add a contact? This is how simple it is for you to just put somebody in here and add a contact. So I'm just going to say Joe Smith, and I would enter their email here. If they had a spouse, I might create that at the same time. But I'm going to put in an email, Joe Smith @gmail.com. And then I'm going to put in a phone number, 614-333-4444. And then I can pick my lead source, and I might talk about the relationships or how I met them. This particular person, we just had an open house this weekend. So let's just say I had an open house, and I might even tag the property that I met them at. And this might be kind of a long tag, but you can get creative. There's really no right or wrong. And then here you're going to put down what you're doing with them if they're prospecting, how you're going to be working with them, and or no, how you got them. I'm sorry. Did you get them by prospect? And so me, if I just met them out, it would be prospecting. If marketing, if they called on something, and that's how you want to just tag the source, because later on you're going to be able to see what's making you the most money. My source might be, it's my sphere. It might be me. It's who I know. And then here you're going to mark it as a lead or add it to your pipeline. So adding it to your pipeline is that you're actually showing them houses right now, or you're listing a house for them. But marking it as a lead means that they're a prospect. There's somebody that's on your radar, but you haven't converted them yet. They're not, And then here is where you could tag it. So I might actually, I'm sorry, here actually tag it as that property, and then the source was the open house. So I have to accept cookies or it's not gonna let me go. Now here where I click add more information, that's where I get to add address and things like that. So here I can mark the preferred method of contacting. I can also add their home address here. And I'm going to go ahead and put my address here because I want to show you something else. And here you could even add their profile for Facebook, so you could use command to talk to them. And here you can actually put things about them, their job title, and you can even add more things. So here's a description. You can talk a little bit more about anything you want. So when we talked about organizing, you can put birthdays, and part of your touch could be that you send a birthday card, home anniversary. You can add all your clients at the end of the month, add them into your database. So you could already set up so it's not so overwhelming. Okay, I'm uploading. You could put on your calendar once a month, once a week, I'm doing 10 people, and then I'm adding 5 people I know, and then at the end of the month, I'm adding all of my clients. Now, actually, I should say that your clients are probably already added in here because now we don't get paid unless they're in command. So life has changed. It's evolved.
I have a quick question, Jenny.
Sure.
So if you put in, for example, their birthday or their home anniversary, will that then ding you under task on that day?
It's if you set up, if you set something up like that. So what you would do is you would set, so we're going to hit create. And then there's smart plans that you can create. And I'm going to just
Right.
kind of touch on this. So you go over here and the task will show up when you create a smart plan. So when you create a smart plan, you're allowed to, now Keller Williams has a couple smart plans already that you can use. There's the monthly neighborhood smart plan. And here they have some new features to smart plans they want to teach us. I don't want to overwhelm you right now. But we do have a neighborhood smart plan that you can use, and it sends it out. And then you can also create your own smart plan. And one of those could be on this date, on the day that equals birth date, create a task that says call.
Okay, so you would need to create the task.
Yeah, you're going to
And-
create a smart plan that includes that as a task.
Okay. And then I have one quick question, which I was going to ask anyway, about the monthly neighborhood, which it's like a market report, correct?
Yes, yes.
So I've had some challenges. I was trying to set that up for my neighborhood because there's been so many houses sold and it's obvious there's no agent that really owns my neighborhood.
Okay.
But I'm having difficulty accessing the neighborhood on command. Have you
Okay.
had any challenges with that?
Well, sometimes it gets a little tricky, but let me go to, okay. Well, let's, do you know the address of the person? I might be able to.
Well, I can give you my address and I can give you the name of the neighborhood.
Okay, let's do this. Let's for fun, let's add you as a contact to me, okay? Because if we were together, we would be in a setting where we would have our laptops and we would log into command together, and I'd probably go around and help you. But in this Zoom, I'm just kind of impromptuing it. So,
Right.
So I'm going to put in Melody and BOHRE. Whoops, RER. And I think I have to have an email for it to create it. So just give me your email.
Okay, so it's just melodybor@gmail.
Easy. Isn't it great when you have a name that's so easy?
Yeah, not easy to pronounce, but you know.
I hear you. And then, so these are all the different sources that they will allow you to do. So I'm just going to put that, for me, I'm just going to put that you're my sphere. So we met. And then I'm going to, what is your neighborhood called?
It's called Whispering Pines.
Oh, that is a new neighborhood, is it?
No, it's like 30 some years old.
Okay, there's Whispering Oaks. I just sold a house with MI. That was it. That's
Oh,
what-
okay.
Was that right, Whispering? So if I'm
Yes,
gonna create
Whispering
that,
Pines. Hmm.
okay. And then add more information. I'm gonna go down here and I'm just gonna say, oh, you know what? I didn't put your phone number in there. Okay, let me just put your phone number. I may call you, friend. So anyway, what's your
Okay, 973
973
714
714
2301.
01. Okay. And then, so I'm just going to put down, you like to be called. And then we're going to put your primary address. So what's your address?
6832
6832.
Pine Bark Lane.
Is it 2 words?
Yes.
Oh, I see it right there. Is that right?
And yeah, Columbus. Hmm.
Okay. And that's Lewis Center? Right there?
No,
Is that the right one? No.
I'm sorry, it's Columbus.
It says Columbus 43235. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So I'm going to hit create.
So I'm basically right on the Dublin line is where that is.
Oh, okay.
So if you know Anderson's general store, the one that they tore down,
Yes.
I live just down the street from that.
Okay, cool. Okay, it says that I did something wrong. So that's interesting. Let's try this. We've got full name. Look at your email. That email's right?
Yes, it is.
The phone number's right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I have to mark you as a lead. Okay, thank you very much. I'm really glad under this all pressure, you guys watching me, that I figured that out. Okay, so let's, then now I'm get to put you in here, look for you.
Because I'd really love to
Okay.
do a market report, but because I
Yep.
think it's something valuable, but I
We're
don't
gonna
want
do
to,
it.
I
We're gonna
don't
do
want to
it.
do it myself from start to finish every month.
So are you in Asheville Commons?
I think the general area may be called that.
Okay, so right here, when I put that address in,
Uh-huh.
it gave me an area right here. It's called Asheville.
Okay.
So let's look at this.
So that may include more than one neighborhood, correct?
Well, it says suggestions. So in here is Brookside Estates, Sawmill Village, Worthington Green. These are, so let's preview it. I'm so glad I did the 66-day challenge, Jill. Okay, so this is, we're gonna zoom in. I think we're gonna zoom in.
Yeah, Spruce Pine is in my neighborhood.
Okay, and then Oak Fair Avenue?
Not in
Queens-
my little neighborhood, but that may be in the general area.
Okay, so let's see here. Filter, okay. So what we're gonna do is, go back here. So I think what we need to do is we need to add, so which one of these best describes you? So this is getting a whole, now let me tell you something that you want to do about your neighborhood. So if somebody was going to buy in your neighborhood, so what our market report is it's educating our clients with real-time data that's better than Zillow and better than realtor.com, because in case you didn't know, all that information is like 48 to 72 hours old, and they don't even use the same lingo. So a house in Zillow could look like it's still on the market and it's under contract. So what does that mean to your buyer? That means your buyer is going to get to that house late, and in this market, they're never going to get the deal. So that's why we say, Zillow, that's great that you started there, but let me help you with real-time data that can help you get there first. I'm going to get you there first. Now, I will tell you, I wouldn't use this to search for houses, but for somebody that already lives in their house and they want to know what their house is worth, would somebody, if they were looking, kind of look at this whole area to maybe get a feel for what their house is worth, or are all these neighborhoods so different that you would never compare any of them?
My neighborhood, Whispering Pines alone, is running from about 280 to 350.
Okay,
That's probably maybe 325.
okay. So let's look at this one really quick, and let's see.
And what's the Kelly Guide? Is that what you clicked? View the Kelly Guide?
Yeah, we can look at that too. One second, let me look at those. So, let's see what this is showing them.
Yeah, that's including, I guess, some apartments. I don't know where that is.
Wow.
Or
Yes,
condos.
you would like to get more specific than that. So let me see.
Yeah, because that's running from 100,000 to 500, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there is, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back. You have this, we have that. Okay, so we're gonna try to add a neighborhood, and I'm gonna try to do, what's the name of your neighborhood again?
Whispering Pines.
Whispering Pines. And this is
Yes.
interesting. We have a Whispering Pines, and so they have not broken out your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So what you might want to do is draw your neighborhood.
Okay.
And I want to apologize, but I am probably not the person to do that. But let's.
Okay, but that's good to know because I didn't know that you could draw it. So that's, I don't want to hold up the class for it,
No,
but
it's okay. But no, this is good information because actually you're not holding up the class. So this is the first thing that's going to frustrate you about your database is you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to go, guess what? I'm doing my database today. Yes, I am going to add these 10 people and I'm going to put them on a market snap and I'm going to do all this neighborhood snapshot or whatever. And I'm going to do all this stuff. And you get into the first one and this happens. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to send bad data, because
yeah,
I
that is what
because I
happened.
think I'm an
when I was
idiot.
setting up.
And right now I'm kind of feeling like an idiot, but I'm not, so then I think it's somewhere in here that you're going to hit draw. And then you can actually make this bigger if my computer was reacting quicker. And you would then add a neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like you would draw around what it was. And then you
Okay,
would add
so I can increase the map so that I can actually see better
right,
what I'm
right.
circling. Because there's housing developments across the street from me and next to me, all three of those between mine and those two would be pretty similar.
Right.
So
Yep.
that would be a good size farming area for me.
Yep. That would be really great. And you could just, you could do, we'll talk a little bit about how you might.
Oh, there it says
start
draw on that top piece.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And then if don't let yourself get too frustrated, reach out to Rachel. And if Rachel
Okay.
doesn't know, she'll put you through with somebody that knows, that's had a little bit more experience on that end. So
Okay.
they'll be able to help you. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. No, that is good information for everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. Does anybody have any other questions, or would you like me to do? So actually, let me finish what this is. So let's just say that in this case, Melody, that this Asheville Commons really is her whole neighborhood. It's not funky. Okay.
Right.
It's like we could go into and it's going to pull it up. See, this is what's so great about Command. It already tried to give you a suggestion. So the thing you want to do is make sure it's the correct suggestion. But a lot of the other neighborhoods that we have, now this is interesting. They have, I'm going to just click on this to see what it
I
does.
think Sawmill Village, I don't know. I thought that was an apartment complex or condos, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you might be right too. Oh, so here, I get it. So this is letting me add a neighborhood. So does Foxborough, Summerwood, or Olentangy Highlands, does any of that sound familiar?
No, but honestly, I need to drive around and see what the actual names of these neighborhoods are,
Yep.
because it's not something I pay attention to.
Right. I gotcha. And then also, this is what's really cool. I want to point something out to you here. See where it says this is her address and this is her mailing address? What's really great is sometimes I have clients that they have a house that they still own that they eventually want to sell, and they don't live there anymore. So I want their mailing. I want to still talk to her and all my marketing here, but the primary, I might want this link to be a different house that they've told me, hey, I really want to sell this one house, but I don't know when it's the right time, or I have a renter in it and they're, whatever, all different reasons. This is what's really cool. When you change the home address, then you can send them a market snap based on something else. And then over here, I actually did set up this thing that's kind of, I have to take that out there, but anyway, so I haven't really set her up on the smart plan yet for it to start, but right now it says that she can be, okay? But
Okay,
here's
great.
where I would add it, and I would say like what I was gonna do, or I was gonna add a note, I was gonna add an activity, or I was gonna add a calendar event. And this is where if you don't have, the easiest thing for you to do the birthday is for you to just set up a touch that is 1, 2, 3. Like your touch is you send the market report, and then you do the birthday, and then you call once a quarter, and you just
Yeah.
put it on a rotation. Okay.
And just set up my own smart plan for that. So it's in my own words, the happy
Yeah.
birthday and
Yep.
the happy house
Yep.
anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Does anybody else have any other type of thing they'd like to do? Opportunities is where we put all of our deals, smart plans. This is where you can add a smart plan, notes, save searches, stuff like that. You can create a search on here. I still think that, you can save a search on here that goes out to somebody, but I'm still finding that the MLS search is the best real-time data to get my clients out super quick. So, but that is another way to do that. Over here, just to talk a little bit more about what Command is going to offer you. So here are tasks. You could literally use this as your tasks, and it's slowly coming up. You're not going to see any tasks for me because I am using a different CRM right now. Here are the smart plans that you can add. So I do believe this is where you're going to create your smart plan. And then once you create it within there, so up here we hit create, and then you can come up with all your ways that you're going to create the smart plan. So you're going to name it, and you're going to create, once you name it, then you're going to go over here and create your actions of whatever that is. Let me look at this really quick. Copy it. So this is saying copy of the neighborhood report. Let me look at this over here. I do want to tell you, Melody, that and everybody, I've done tasks like that, and I'm going to find out for you that if I can. Oh yes, I can. See, thank you. Okay, so this is where you send an email and then delay 3 days, and then this is where you can add, make a call. You're going to physically do something. You're going to send an email. You're going to send a text, whatever it is. So this is how you select what the next step is going to be.
And those will pop up in my task?
Yes.
Okay.
So I clicked on that, you add the event or whatever it is. So, yep. So what I did was I clicked over here on these 3 dots over here, Melody, and that's where it came up, where I could make this into more of a plan. And so you could make something here. You could call it client follow-up, or you could call it, 33 touch. And you know that once you have somebody, that's what you put them in there. And then once someone closes on a house, you put them into the 33 touch. So you're actually dripping on them. And part of your campaign is, do you know anybody with real estate related questions? Do you know anybody with real estate related goals in 2021? And that's part of your conversation. Okay. Let me see something. I'm still looking at this stuff. And then here, these are some, so I went up to here just so you understand where I went. I'm in Smart Plan. So we get into command. This is home where you end up. This is contacts. And over on the right is where you'll have all your contacts listed alphabetically. And in the top right, you can add a contact. Here's where you click for your daily tasks. Here are Smart Plans. That's where I'm at. And when I went over to my Smart Plans and then I went over to library, these are the Smart Plans that have already been added by folks that you can share and you can do. This one's 15 steps. This one's 3 steps. This is 6 steps. And then these are some other ones that are already done that you can use. Okay. This is a great plan. I'm going to have our team look at this. This is Facebook follow-up lead. So that's great. Then this is, these are referrals. One great thing about, I know we're not talking about that, but your database, you could have people, other agents that, you work with, that you network with. So these are different people that I've either connected with or they connected with me. Then this is the opportunities where when you get your first deals and you're putting them in contract, that's where you're going to be putting everything in there. And this is how you get paid. Now I work on a team, so our opportunities are under Jill's name.
And what are you under right now?
I am
On
under my
left,
name.
What's the
and
category?
Oh, I am under opportunities.
Oh, opportunities. Okay.
So you'll have a call with Rachel. It's called Getting Paid, and they'll teach you how to put your deals in here when you're in contract. So these are all different things. I don't want to, but this is an awesome tool. And a lot of people have to pay a lot of money for things like this, and you get this free from Keller Williams. I have to tell you, there's other agents and other brokerages that don't even know that they don't even know that they're missing out. So, anybody that or as you get your feet wet and you feel more comfortable, it's a great way for you to grow. So, I'm laughing at myself because I just hid you guys. So anyway, oh wait, there you are. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because I just gave you a whole bunch of information. Janae, I love your picture, you cutie pie. Okay, so does anybody, what do you guys think about command? I'd love each one of you to tell me some aha you had about command. Lisa, do you mind, since your cute face is looking at me, do you mind sharing with me something you thought about command?
I like that marketing piece, what you were going through with Melody. That's really helpful.
Yeah, that's really great information that we can just share with people, and you put it automatedly so it comes in. And what you're going to love is you're going to be sending that to people, and then out of the blue, they're going to call you and go, oh my gosh, that house right around the corner just sold for that. I really want to sell my house. Can you come out and talk to me?
Right. It opens the conversation without you actually having to physically call them, although you would be
right. You'll
calling them along the line, but it would keep you in their mind as they're getting those things sent to them automatically.
Right. No, that's great.
Having Keller Williams in a sense working for you, you know what I mean?
Right. Nicole, do you mind? Did you have any ahas? I know you have a background. I know all these students' parents that you're going to call, right?
Yes, for sure. I'm going to follow up with Lisa. What you just went through, actually seeing it, and what command can do as far as the neighborhood nurture, that really was a good one for me.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we really have value. It's
yes.
It's great, and we have technology. And that's what we as agents need. And I just have to tell you, Gary Keller, he spent his own money to develop this because he cares about us. And we're really lucky when you have that go give, go do type of, I was talking to somebody today that is someone I've been trying to recruit as an agent. He called me this morning. He helped me buy all my cell phones. He was at Sprint forever. And he called and shared with me that he had to leave Sprint because the senior management, this guy rocks it, and that's why I want him to become a real estate agent. But he's like, they took his clients. Like they started telling him he couldn't call on his clients and he had to start getting new clients. And everything starts at the top. The culture starts at the top, and then it just trickles down. And so when you want to get with a group that the culture matches your culture and the way you treat people and the way doing the right thing and how you like to be treated, and then it just trickles down. And that's why this whole technology, it gets really exciting. And I'll tell you the truth, I've been guilty of getting overwhelmed with it. And so I've been a real estate agent for 2 years. I was a mortgage lender for 25 years. And Keller Williams there's so many great things, but I really allowed myself to kind of get overwhelmed. And because Keller Williams is so share, and everybody will share with you all their ideas about being successful. So like anything that I shared with you that seemed overwhelmed, just figure out who your buddy is in the office and stay connected. Even in this COVID, stay safe, do what you need to do, but find your people in your brokerage and find the people that think like you, and then go tackle these things together and do little challenges. Because what kept me really was Jill, because she's my partner and I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let her down, and I don't want to let the team down. But it is a process. It's like one step by one step by one step. So just don't let it overwhelm you, and just set a goal of, like I said, when we get off this thing, set that you're going to put 10 people in command and you're going to put 10 people on a market snap. And just that activity of doing that is going to really propel you. And you're not even going to know. One thing that you do when you develop, another story I want to tell you about doing this, and I didn't even do it well. We went into command a year and a half ago, and we started the 66-day challenge. And I started in Jill's database, and I started in the A's. And I called this woman named Betty Abercrombie. And I started calling her, and little did I know that her ex-husband had just referred like a $650,000 listing to us, that we went out and ended up listing it. And we ended up getting, I think, like 5 deals total from that one. And they were all in the 500,000 or more. And the funny thing was, the guy called us the realtor of last resort. These people had their $650,000 house listed by somebody else who didn't get it sold. And they didn't get it sold for whatever reasons. And so we had an opportunity to come in, and we got it in contract within like 30 days and found them another home. And I'm just telling you this because you can do it too. But I end up out of the blue, one of the first people I call. So this guy refers these people to us, and then he's divorced from this other woman that just out of the blue, I call her because Jill has this database and she's been doing it forever. So I call her, and she lives in California, and she has a son that lives here. And she happened to come up in my tasks in A's, and I ended up calling her like a couple other times. And lo and behold, she called us this Saturday because her son is relocating here to New Albany, and he's buying like a $500,000 whatever home. And it just was this great. I mean, I'm not saying she wouldn't have called us because she thinks Jill hung the moon, but I am saying that statistics show you that when we do transactions, the NRA has done studies and said they'll go to people and say, would you use your real estate agent again? You just bought a house. Would you use that agent again? And 88% of the people say, yes, I would use them again. And then when you go to interview the person and you say, well, did you use the same agent you used the time before? Only 17% use the same agent that they used previously. And the reason is that we're not doing this database. We're not doing this consistent, even though it's hard for us all to do consistent things, but we have automation with Command on our side where we don't have to do it. We could have it done 12 times. So think about it. We'll talk about this 12 times a year through this, make 4 phone calls, whatever we're going to do, and have it automated. And somebody else could have come in her sphere. She might've called us, but somebody else might've come in, like maybe a family member became a real estate agent. And then they go, well, I probably should give them a shot. So even doing it not perfectly, I still made an impression because I just had a real conversation with her. And actually she did most of the talking. I know it's hard to believe because you probably think that I did all the talking, but she did all the talking, and she shared about how Jill really made a difference in her life a couple different times, because she went through a divorce one time and then she needed advice on this. And Jill always did the right thing by being the source of the source, like helping her have information so she could make the best call. And also, they sold a property that was part of a divorce settlement, I think, and that can be really tricky sometimes. And when you do the right thing here, I mean, look at it. Jill has both spouses referring people to her, and their divorce wasn't pretty. And I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it for 15 minutes. So, anyway, the database is a big part of it. It's growing it. It's systematizing it. Does anybody else have anything else they saw there that they would like to talk about or ask a question about? Okay. So
Jenny, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you make your calls from the database, what do you say? Do you have a script? Are you just calling to check in? How do you handle that?
Well, I call and introduce myself. I call and say, this is Jenny, and I work with Joe Rudler. If I'm calling her office, if it's me, I just say, hey, this is Jenny Scobie. And I just have an authentic conversation with people. I do usually have a script in front of me. I have a purpose about why I'm calling. So scripts are important, but I don't think I'm so sorry that I don't have a great script to give you guys, because I've been calling people for years. And, but what I do want to suggest to you, and I'd be happy to send out to you, is, well, actually, let me pull something up really quick as far as a script. I do have something I wanted to share with you. So let me pull this up. So I want to encourage you to sign up for the next Bold. This is it. No, that's not it. Second. Wow, this is really slow.
Hey, Jenny, while you're pulling that up, I'd be happy to talk a little bit about maybe some.
Yes, please
scripts that might
do.
work. And I would say, Nicole, that it doesn't, to Jenny's point, it doesn't necessarily need to sound like a robot or to be a script like, hey, this is Nicole. Are you interested in buying or selling real estate? Because that sounds fake and very shallow, right? So what I just posted in the chat over there is an acronym that we may have covered this in Coach before, but it will help you have good, fluid, small talk conversations. And normally I would start off by saying, hey, Rhonda, it's been a while since we've connected. I just wanted to call and check in on you. How have things been with COVID? And then you can jump into, how's the family been? How's the job been? What you got any big plans for 2021 in terms of vacations? So it's an easy way to attack like small talk. I don't personally like to do that even. So we do a lot of events. If you or the Kemp group, or maybe your team or whatever is gonna hold an event, it's a great way to reach out to your database and provide them value. Say, hey, John, it's been a while. I wanted to invite you to X. And they're gonna inevitably ask, well, or it's gonna get to the point where you can say, and how have you been? How's the family been, by the way? And it's just a good way to attack it, instead of it always just being a big question about, hey, how can I help you with real estate? It doesn't need to start off that way. It will get there.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Josh.
Thank you.
I did put up the Ford method. I think I'm sharing with you guys. That was exactly what I wanted to talk about, where you would just call up and if it's somebody in your sphere, you would look at these. These are some questions here. How's your family? How are you doing? And they talked about being an active listener, just being present, asking open-ended questions, meaning just these are open-ended questions. Like if you knew that somebody had just made a trip somewhere, or somebody's son is graduating, your son graduated this year, what are his plans? Just authentic things about, it's really easy because it's about people that you already know. Now, if you're calling somebody back about a lead, somebody that's looking at a property that you have listed, or you end up sharing some leads with people in your brokerage, it's really is that simple. You're calling in, introducing yourself. I understand you called about seeking more information on a certain property, and just really talking to people about, why they're looking, what their motivation is, that you just want to, help them and what's most important to them in a house. But being sensitive to offering, what did I put? Man, these are notes from my bold. I forget what that was. Oh, offering something when a need is uncovered. Oh, sometimes when people start telling you, for me, it's finding out where they are and what they need and how we can help. And I really look at myself as a real estate professional that has lots of different information and knowledge that I can help people with. And then FORD, it stands for friends, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And those are an easy way to have an authentic conversation. Next, I wanted to show you how to harness the power of your database. And this is something that really excites me, but this gives you an example. So Gary Keller is putting out an updated version of the MREA book, and they've done a lot of statistics on database and how we can grow our database and what kind of return we can get on our database. So this example shows A is the number in your database. So in this particular example that I had been doing on Bold, I put 700 people in a database. And so they talk about the fact that of that database, Gary says that right now 6.4% of them will be moving, will potentially be doing something, making some kind of move real estate wise. So they're saying, so of 700, that would be 45 people. Then 10% of those people know somebody that would want to buy or sell real estate. So 10% of that number is 70 people. So the total potential in my database is 115 people. Now, the caveat to that is Gary said that you have to be consistently touching those people for probably 3 to 5 years. So you had to have been doing this touch. We're going to go back to command and think about creating that smart plan that says I touch them 8 times a year, however many times a year. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of some touches here next, but I've been doing it for 3 to 5 years, so that right now you're going to start building this database, and you're going to put them, if we looked at a funnel, you're going to put there's a picture in your Bold and in the MREA book that talks about how we put leads in the top of it, and we touch them and they come out as business. So we're going to put all of these in our funnel where we're going to be dripping on them all the time. And in 3 to 5 years, you will be, as you grow that database, getting 6.4% moving and 10% giving you a referral. So then they just wanted to talk about how valuable is that to you. So if we look at the fact that this was talking about my first year, which would have been 19, how many personal closings I had and stuff like that. But in our market, we would look at 7,500 being an average sales price. So our commission 3% is 7,500, and you'd multiply that times 115, and what would your gross be? It really can be that simple. It's just we have to do the quicksand, the lugging, that heavy lifting of just doing it consistently, of saying we're going to do it, start small and keep building. And even if you get behind, just start over again, have grace with yourself and start over again. Does anybody have any ahas with this potential, harnessing the potential of your database? Oops. Okay, let me see if I can stop sharing here for a minute. So let's hear some of your numbers about your database. Now, Melody, you said 1,300 that were in your phone, right?
Yeah, they're still on a spreadsheet. I have not loaded them into Command yet because my goal was to clean those up first before I loaded them into Command. I mean, I think that's the correct step. So
Yeah, that is the correct step. And I do want to tell you there's some fun ways that you can do that. So, it's a great reason to call everybody in your database. And you do know that you can look people up, in the Franklin County or Delaware County Auditor to make sure that's where they still live. And it still is great. Even if you see that they moved, who cares, just call them and ask them, hey, how was it? I'm a real estate agent and I'd love to send you some real-time data on your neighborhood, what's happening in there, and just how you know them, just touch base with them in life. And at the end, so what I do is I usually stack it in at high, have the forward conversation, just get to know them and touch base again, tell them what I'm doing. Hey, I just was reaching out to you because just got my real estate license. I'm really excited about what I'm doing. And I just wanted to reach out to my family or friends and offer them some valuable information about real estate. I have this great market report that gives real-time data on values in your neighborhood. It's kind of like a financial report. You know how you get your bank statement every month? I'm going to send you an email that gives you values. You can see like what your neighbors are doing, what improvements they've done. I just love to give you the opportunity to see how you're building equity in your house by seeing what's happening in your neighborhood. Would it be okay if I sent that to you? And then I just confirm, I just want to make sure I have this email, or you know what? I realize we've been friends for so long, I don't even have an email for you. And so then you can get their email and then you update that. And then, you've had this great conversation. You say, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm going to send this to you. And if you don't get it right away, check your spam folder. And then I say, hey, I am going to follow up with you in a couple weeks just to see what you thought about it. I'd love to get your opinion. And then I kind of leave it at that. And then that would be your next task of what you might do to talk to them.
yeah, the vast majority of people in my database do not live in Columbus.
Okay.
They live all over the country. So for those calls, for me, is going to be more on a referral basis.
Right.
If they know of anybody moving to Columbus or whatever. And there'll be some that, I can't because they're with Cardis and they have to give every lead to Cardis in order to retain that relocation business. But there's a lot that are not. So, I can still, do business with them from a referral basis.
Cool. I think Lisa, you were the one in mortgage, right? And Courtney, you were the one that was in the restaurant business?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just look at some numbers here about databases. It doesn't even matter if it's 100 people. Think about 6% are moving and 10% will give you a referral. That's 16 potential deals that you could have. That would be a great year, right? Courtney, how are you doing just finding your people that you knew from the restaurant business?
Luckily, I'm a pretty social person. So pre-COVID, I was always out and about and running into a lot of these people anyway. So I've been able to keep up the relationships pretty well throughout the years. And there's been a lot of, repeat locations for work that we've had. I have started to reach out specifically to regulars of mine throughout the years, just because since I have been keeping up so much with fellow employees, I felt that maybe my relationships with regulars could be stronger. So I have started to make a few phone calls with them, and they're not all in Command yet. It's my task for this week is to really get Command going, but I think it's going well. Honestly, I have 2 clients so far.
Good. Well, I want to tell you, we've played around with cleaning up our database, and Jill and I both have clients from a long time ago and trying to figure that out. So we've used some things called peoplefinder.com. Is it something you can sign up for? You can get like a discount the first few months, but we're able to put people's phone numbers in and like cross-check people and kind of get more information from them. some people kind of think that's stalking. So, I mean, it's people that we kind of already know, or if we get a lead that comes in and we want to know more about them when we're calling them back, it's just helpful so that we can have a forward conversation with them about who they are. Ben, B-E-E-N, Ben Verified is another tool. We have somebody that we work with that uses that. So both of those tools, I just was thinking, Courtney, you might be able to use that because you'll have their phone numbers and they probably still have that phone number, and then it'll save you from being embarrassed that you don't know their last name because you can put their phone number in. And then
social media has been very helpful with that.
Oh yeah, social media. Yeah, you're right. You could do social media too. But yeah, is that him making your phone bigger? Yeah, that looks like him. Okay. But anyway, okay. So let me, I kind of was doing some of this stuff impromptu. So let me go back to what else I want to cover. We talked about the potential of your database. We talked about growing it. We got into command. I don't think I'm going to go back to the because I can't see you guys and we're getting towards the end. But one thing I do, so right here, we're really talking about lead generation. We're talking about growing your business and running your business. And you really want to this is what I've had to do, and I'm still evolving. I'm still not where I want to be on lead gen, but I'm getting better and better. And that's what I focus on. I find that the more I focus on just doing one little thing more, it's easier for me because I can be really hard on myself. I don't know if you guys are like that, but I feel like when you start your own business, everything starts with us, right? So we're the command center. We're everything we choose. And quite frankly, there's a lot of stuff we can do, So if we time block our time for lead gen, and we time block our time to do the research for some of our lead gen, because that's where I just want to encourage you that it will get messy, that learning command is going to be a process. And that slowed me down a little bit in the last year. But I didn't let it stop me. I just kept getting back on the horse. Getting the data from your clients can get long and bulky, but I promise you that making the phone calls to your sphere and having an authentic conversation, it is fun. It feels really good to connect with people and share with them about what you're doing and be able to share with them about how we're safely showing houses, because the reality is, living in Central Ohio, we are in a really unique position that a lot of the industry that we are around did well in COVID. Tech did well in COVID. Hospitals and healthcare did well in COVID. So we just have to focus on making sure that we know what the safe protocol is, and what our team's motto is: we meet people where they're at. Jill and I will go to a listing appointment and people will open the door without a mask on. And we'll be like, alrighty then. And then other people, will have gloves on, and, and so I just have learned that I don't have an opinion about how people want to treat COVID. I don't have an opinion in my family. I don't have an opinion with my clients. I'm showing up with love and acceptance for everybody around me because we are in a pandemic and we've never been in that before. So the reality is, there are people that want to make a move and they want to know, like, is this an okay time, or am I going to miss my time, or what's going to happen? And they really need someone like you to have a conversation about, or they might have a friend or family that needs to move and needs to do something, and they need to have a conversation with somebody. So those are the things that encourage me to keep moving on and setting goals. So setting goals to do so many contacts a week, to have so many conversations a day. Old school handwritten notes are super important. And home previews, even for you guys starting out, the neighborhoods that you really want to master. Melody, you might want to go preview some of the ones that are on your market report, and you can, and that's how, all you have to do is let the seller know that you're an agent previewing it. And make sure you do that, because one time we had somebody that didn't do that, and they wanted to know how the showing went. And it was just a new agent that didn't know we could, give that information. So previews.
I actually have had that when I've previewed homes anyway. I tell them I'm just previewing homes, and then they'll ding me afterwards wanting to know how my buyers liked it.
Yeah. Sometimes they can't. It's really funny. You put it there and they don't always read it that way. But you know what? Your feedback's important. You know what the market wants. You know what buyers are looking for. So even as an agent, our preview and our feedback is super important. Have any of you set up goals for yourself, weekly goals that you think are important, that you would be willing to share so that we could inspire each other on, kind of link arms and go together? Hey, Jack. No, I'm kidding. I won't ask Jack. Jack's works with me and I love to tease him.
I think I mentioned this last week, but I literally put myself on a bed schedule, and I wake up every day at the same time now and go to bed every day at the same time. And it has helped me a lot because I'm a night owl. I love being up in the middle of the night, regardless what it is, but I miss out on so much in the morning because I'm tired because I done stayed up all night. So
right.
Change my habits and it's working for me.
Good. Thank you for that. Yes, get ourselves on a schedule, even though right now it seems like the days are blending into the other days because people can work from home,
I'd like to add just one little thing about time management, because that's all part of this. You have to manage your time before you can actually get any of this accomplished. And I would say one of the best things I've done is the night before the next day, I would always at night make my list. Because when I get up in the morning, if I have a list, I'm really super focused on what I got to get done. And so I start checking them off, and it's so exciting to like get to the bottom of your list and it's still like 10 o'clock in the morning. And so, there's always things that will pop up, but your mind just creates this anxiety if you haven't written them down, because you think it's a lot worse than it really is. So if you just every day, make a list the night before, then you'll hit the road, the next day you'll hit it rolling. And it's just such a sense of accomplishment when you can check off things. So that's something I would do with all of this. If it means you're going to put 10, go through 10 of the contacts and try to get them updated, or add 5 that day, that's just a sense of accomplishment. At the end of the week, you're like, wow, I did 50 or 70, and that's where the big picture is. So that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you.
Part of what I've been doing is time blocking, because I can get myself down a rabbit hole doing the things that I like to do, and then the things that I don't like to do get fallen by the wayside. So Josh always says to us, if it's not in your calendar, then it doesn't exist. And so I'm putting every single thing that I do during the day in my calendar, because I have to do that for myself.
That's great.
I start on Sunday. Like last night, I went through the market center alert and put in all of the trainings that I wanted to go to. So all of those things are in there. But then I have the things that I do every single day that are non-negotiables, like the prospecting and my phone calls and whatever else I need to do. That are there are 3 priorities for every single day. And that's where my non-negotiables go. And that has to be done first before I start on the other task list. And if it moves to the next day, the other task list moves to the next day, that's fine, because it wasn't necessarily a priority. I did get my priorities, taken care of first.
I like that. One thing I did real quick, I want to hear from somebody else I meant to mention, was I was putting like generic lead gen, like 2 hours. That's what they want us to do every day. And I really, I was not doing it consistently. And finally, one of my coaches said, make it like a topic lead gen. So on Mondays, it's call 5 people in your sphere. And then we have past clients that we've done listing appointments for over the last 10 years, but they've never sold. So that is another area that I call. Then right now we're developing some of our geo farms that we do listings in. And so it could be you really should be the master of your neighborhood, right? So you could start developing a database that has your neighborhood and their phone numbers in it. And you could say you're going to call 10 of them a week and just put them on a Snap thing and tell them you're their neighbor and you're a real estate agent. And you could just make it fun so that you are doing like a game. That's what I'm doing for me. It's a game, because when I look at it like, okay, I got to make 10 connections today and I got to do this. And then I start thinking, you can tell yourself all these stories. Well, I don't even know if I have the right phone numbers. I'm just telling you the stupid stuff I tell myself. And then it's like, then once I start doing it and the one person answers the phone and I just have a forward conversation, which is, even if I don't know them and I just have a forward conversation, I always enjoy talking to people. I mean, especially in COVID, we all have a conversation. How are you holding up? How has this impacted you? How are you doing? Do you need anything? You know what I mean? I mean, that's what we talk about when we talk to people. How are you? I mean, we have the best, honest, authentic script that, so it's not that hard. And, I find that this is funny. Everybody's stuck at home right now. So they actually are answering their phone more and they actually want to talk, because a lot of people are lonely. So if you get afraid to make phone calls, I'd consider telling yourself a different story, because like I even notice people, like even the grocery are nicer. First off, you can't even see what someone's expression is. And you're like trying to churn your cart or your whatever. And everyone's like, sorry, oh, hi. You know what I mean? Like, I just noticed like everybody, and maybe that's because I'm attracting people like that, because that's how I feel. But I feel the same way. Like I'm open to like helping. If I'm able to help you, and it's not, and I don't mean this by it's way out of my way. I just mean that I'm not codependent when I'm saying this. Okay. But I mean, like if you're in my sphere and you need something and I'm capable and I'm able, and especially in this day and age where some people are limited, I'm more than willing to help. And I'm not even talking real estate. I'm just saying and so I have that feeling. I feel closer to people. I feel very grateful because I'm healthy. I feel very grateful just for where we're at, that we've survived this, and when I think about the first month or so, the unknown, now I feel like, heck, if we can do this, we could do anything. You know what I mean? Like, so, well, that was really all I had. The one last thing I want to say, and anybody else can talk, is that when you're going to get numbers, we do have to remember that Keller Williams tells us that there's a do not call registry, and we do need to make sure that we are respectful. If we're calling our friends, I mean, I think that's not necessarily in the do not call, but if we are doing other lists, if we get lists that we're trying to work and put into our database, we do want to be respectful of that. I just want to really encourage you guys. You're always welcome to reach out to me or Jill or our team. There's a lot of expert knowledge on my team that they can't wait to share with people. So don't be shy. And Jill, is there anything that you would like to say?
No, just that if anyone does have questions, my team is always a great resource for you. So feel free. Jack has been on my team 28 years. He's been a realtor over 30 years. I've been over 40 years. Jenny has been in the industry close to 30 years between her mortgage and her real estate, which they do relate completely, back and forth. The selling part might be different, but the actual relationship part is the same. I just, I want to let you know that we're here as your resource. And I can answer big picture questions, but no longer am I involved on the how to do things. That's where Jenny and Jack and Monica have done a great job. And so I just want to say, you guys, this is the beginning. I started, when I moved here in 1987, I didn't know one soul, not one person in Columbus, Ohio. And by 3 to 5 years later, I was doing over 100 transactions. And it was really just one at a time. There's nothing that you can do overnight. It's one day at a time. You just keep doing one day at a time and you succeed in that day. And pretty soon it becomes a week, a month, a year, 5 years. And that's how you grow a business. You do it one step at a time, the right way. So that's it.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you guys at functions when we can finally get out of our house. And I wish you well. I'm very excited to see all your businesses grow. I know you guys are all going to be super successful. And like I said, you can always reach out. I hope you guys have a great day. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.